What is up, everybody, and welcome back. Oh, I'm back. I know. And I bring gifts. Not gifts, but I bring a special guest. I always like to bring special guests on my show, because it's tiring just seeing me here all day. I don't get tired of myself, but you people do. I would. Personally, I would. But we have today a very exciting guest on the Scevoli Tonight Show, Mr. Brandon from Talking Bay 94. How are you, Brandon?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on. Good to
You're
be
welcome.
here.
Anything for talking, and a
Hey,
bay.
love to talk.
And we love the Bay Area,
Sure.
But we're going to talk to Brandon about everything Star Wars, on the Scevoli Tonight Show. We talk everything Star Wars with our guests. But before we start, please make sure you guys subscribe down below to the YouTube channel, the Scevoli Show, for more me, not Brandon, because he's not going to be here all the time. It's all you got stuck with him for maybe an hour tops, probably. Right. But that's it. And Brandon leaves, and we'll never see him again, probably. But Brandon, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. We're recording this on Acolyte Day, so I'm ready for new Star Wars tonight.
Yeah, we're gonna kill it with the Acolyte. Now I'm just gonna ask you, how do you like the Acolyte so far?
So far, so good. I'm nervous about tonight. Tonight, the rumor is it's going to be another flashback episode, so we'll see. I really am curious of how bad the Jedi were, right? If everyone went into exile after this night, what really happened? So I'm excited to see what goes down.
It does. It like I watched it, and I'm watching episode. We're on episode 7 tonight, so episode 6. When I was watching it, and I always record my reactions, and I think after I recorded that reaction, I literally said, "Excuse my language, what the fuck? Like, what are you people thinking of the Jedi? Like, oh my god, you people are like real humans. Like, we push everything under the rug."
Yeah.
Like, we just like, oh, all right, we'll get back to that when we need to get back to that. Like, they push everything like that. I think it's going to be like that flashback where you see what really happened on that planet.
Right.
I think we'll see little May again and little Osha, and we'll see what really happened. We don't know what really started the fire. We only know that so-and-so started it. May started it. But I don't think she did, really. I think it was the Jedi that probably started it and probably blamed it on the little girl because she didn't want to go with them, or she hated it or something like that. But I'm like, the Jedi. My God, I thought the prequel Jedi were bad. These Jedi are worse.
Yeah, only gets worse, I guess. But yeah, it'll be fun. I'm excited.
It's going to be an exciting time, and I think with what's her name?
Venestra?
Venestra, yeah. She's up to something too.
She's up to something. She's
sneaky too. I don't trust her. But how do you like the characters so far? Because I know a lot of people hate it on the Acolyte. Personally, I didn't. Like I said, I give everything a Star Wars chance. I'm a big animation guy, so I love everything animation. But live action, it's okay. But Acolyte is, to me, different. We see a different view of the Jedi. We see a different point of view from them. We see different. They don't believe in the Sith, or they never did. But how do you like the characters and the storyline so far?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, which is Star Wars and acting are never. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. But I do think the guy who plays Soul is maybe the greatest actor we've had in Star Wars. Like, he's just doing such a great job, and I really am loving that character specifically. So, like, a big Soul fan, big Basil fan. That's another. I'm a big fan of all the little creatures, and so having a new little creature doing kung fu is a real treat. And then, spoilers, but it was very cool to have characters that you really care about that then get struck down halfway through the season. And so I'm really into the storytelling that's happening. I'm a really big fan of Leslie Headland. I love Russian Doll. And so I'm really excited to see what's left. And I've really been enjoying kind of talking about theories and talking about stuff. And it's been really fun.
Yeah, I think this show, because everybody hated it. And when the trailer came out, they're like, garbage, trash. But I was like to myself, I was like, well, it looks good. I was like, I'm gonna enjoy it. It's Star Wars. You're not gonna like everything in Star Wars. You're not gonna like everything. We just have our opinions, and it's okay to have that. But people take it overboard. People really want to knock on those people's doors and be like, come on out, let's fight, let's do it. Let's do it. And I like Basil. If Basil was around during the prequel trilogy, we'll all be saved.
Right. Hey, yeah, that's a good point. Are we about to see Basil die in episode 8? Hope not. Hope not. I can't. I already saw Kelnaka die, right? And that was already too much for me.
I
So,
know, and I really wanted to see where his character was gonna go.
sure.
And I was like, oh, and they were cutting to that scene where you see him like his like body slashed, and I'm like, oh, we're gonna see him. We're going, oh my god, he's gonna be there, and he's just dead, like just lying there.
Right.
Like I'm like, really? I said I really wanted to see what he was like about Jedi wise. Like I think we'll see that maybe in tonight's episode.
I think so too.
Episode 7. But I was like, I wanted more of him because we really don't have Wookiee Jedis.
Right.
We don't only have Chewbacca, and he's not a Jedi. He's just
we have Buryaga in the High Republic books, and people are like, why isn't this Buryaga? But obviously it's because he dies. And then my favorite, Alobaka from the books, Young Jedi Knights, Chewbacca's nephew.
Yes, and with Gunji.
And Gunji, of course. So yeah, we have a couple. We have some running around. It's always nice to see them.
It is, and they just run around. They come in for a couple of episodes, and they go bye, and they come back, and we'll see them in like 10 years from now. But Brandon, my first official question to you is, Talking Bay 94. Like, what is that? Like, am I talking to a bay? You know, am I talking to like Los Angeles Bay? You know, I know it's Star Wars related, of course. But what is that? How has your been? Let me explain that better. How has your journey been with Talking Bay and your Star Wars journey? Because it's together. So how has that been?
For sure. Well, Talking Bay 94 is, of course, Docking Bay 94, which is the line from A New Hope and where the Millennium Falcon was. And so I was like, the phrase, now this is podcasting, was already taken. So I was like, let me do something else. And then Sky Talkers was already taken. So let me do something else. So I did Talking Bay 94. But yeah, for people that don't know, Talking Bay 94 is my one-on-one interviews with the cast and crew of Star Wars. That's all it is. I've been doing it since probably 6 years now. I love the behind the scenes of Star Wars, and I love the people who made Star Wars, and so getting to talk to them is such a thrill. And yeah, I probably have 150, 160 episodes now, and they're all pretty timeless in terms of who I'm talking to and what we're talking about, because I love to just kind of talk through someone's entire story, not just Star Wars, but then really kind of diving into what inspires them, and then that in turn inspires me. So I've been very lucky in that sense to so many people have said yes to be interviewed by me. And yeah, that's Talking Bay 94 in a nutshell. It's just, I try not to talk at all, really, and let the cast and crew do all the talking.
That's how I feel. I feel like you could just talk the whole show. It's not about me this time. It's about you, Brandon. It's about Talking Bay.
Good about it.
Yeah, you know, it's about Talking Bay. So what is your Star Wars journey? How did you become this mega Star Wars guru and then starring Talking Bay of doing behind the scenes with, because I know you have, I forget some of your guests because I've listened to your show. I listened, but I totally forget because my mind is like a doormat. It just goes. It just keeps that up. But yeah, how is your Star Wars journey?
Yeah, I mean, I was very lucky. I was born in 92, which means I was able to see the special editions in the theater as my first Star Wars, and then I was able to see the prequel trilogy in theaters, and that was my Star Wars. And then I watched all the animated shows, and I kind of kept up, and I've read every Expanded Universe book and every Star Wars Insider and all these things. And so Star Wars has always been a huge part of my life. And then after I graduated college is when the sequel trilogy started coming out, and I was really kind of itching to be transformative in my fandom rather than just kind of a passive watcher and a consumer of all the stuff. And that's kind of where Talking Bay 94 came about, where I wanted to contribute in some way and figure out how I can lend a voice that's unique and isn't just kind of what everyone else was doing. And so yeah, I was very lucky. It kind of combined a bunch of my passions, right, both with talking to people but also research and how movies are made and how the creative process works. And it's all been really great, and I really can't imagine it going any better. And then from there, you know, I've been able to write for StarWars.com and Star Wars Insider and the upcoming Star Wars Encyclopedia. So it really has just been kind of a lot of work, but it's Star Wars, and so that's the best kind of work.
Right. I wish I was working for Star Wars because I could be like your partner. You got to get me in, Brandon.
Sure. There
this
we
is
go.
Our chance. You could be talking, I can be Bay, and then we just get someone for 94, and then we'll be like, oh,
That's an idea. That's definitely an idea. I'll give you that.
Hey, I'm making you think over there, Brandon. After
There
this
you go.
interview, after this show, you'll be like, damn, that kid was right. I
was
could do
thinking.
this. And then just
He
hit
was
me
really
up. You know, you got my digits. You know, you got it. But my next question to you, Brandon, is so your theories. Let's talk about. I want to hear some of your theories, like
Sure.
like your what ifs, or like what do you got going on? Like what do you got going on in that head of yours?
Dang. In terms of my head canons, in terms of what I think, my number one head canon is that Shmi and Qui-Gon had a fling. That's my number one. I'll stand by it. And that's pretty much it. That's my main one. That's the only one I really yeah, I don't know. I try to go into Star Wars, any Star Wars, with what are they trying to tell me? What am I trying to, as opposed to me kind of like doing my fan servicey things or my fan theory things. Yeah, those are my main theories right now. I'm interested. I guess I have theories of where the next animated shows could go. I know there's been a lot of chatter of like, oh, are they making new ones? And so I can definitely see like Asajj Ventress, another show for her or something.
I need that.
But yeah, those are my. I guess it's hard for me to be like, oh, I need this to happen or I want this to happen, because I'm just like along for the ride. For instance, I wouldn't have been like, we have to have a Bad Batch TV show, but then obviously they know better than I do, and so here we are with a great kind of culmination of a story that wouldn't have happened if I had been in charge. So, yeah, I'm along for the ride, man. But that's what I got.
I know. I love animation. I'm a big animation guy. I think I fell in love with animation from Ahsoka, and I just think worked my way up into loving like Rebels, because a lot of people didn't like Rebels. I love Rebels actually.
Oh, Rebels is great. Yeah,
I'm a huge Rebels fan. I love Ezra, I love Hera, I love Zed, I love all the Ghost crew. And then the Clone Wars, and then Bad Batch with Asajj coming back, and the clones, and it's just the animation has grown. If you watch season 1 or the Clone Wars movie, from Bad Batch series finale, season 3, totally different animation and technology. And I think they said today, I think I posted on my story that they're hiring somebody else for animation. So they are making a new animation show, but I don't know what it would be, because even with Asajj Ventress' actress, she said we have something coming from her. So I don't know if it's going to be like the Tales of the Jedi, because we don't know. We didn't even know we were going to get Tales of the Empire, and look, we got that, and it was, I think, phenomenal to me. The see Barriss Offee back and Morgan Elsbeth's story, this lead up to where she is with Thrawn and Ahsoka, and then Barriss Offee. We don't know what happened to her. She got like shanked in the stomach area, so I don't know if she's probably still alive in my mind, but she might be dead. But I think she's still alive. I don't think you could kill a character off like that so fast. But it's Star Wars. Anything can happen. People's legs got cut off and they came back alive.
Right.
But yeah. But my next question to you, Brandon, is your favorite Star Wars movies and why?
Oh, that's a great question. I do always have to say the original Star Wars, just because of, even beyond a story's perspective or a character perspective, just like what that did to change movies, just like blows me away every time. Seeing it on a big screen is transformative every time, and beautiful. And then I've kind of gone back and forth actually kind of recently, and I really think my second favorite Star Wars movie ever is The Phantom Menace. Again, seeing it on a big screen and seeing, again, kind of a pure George Lucas, and also seeing like what he was doing with the technology at the time. I just couldn't stop smiling when I saw it like 3 times when it came back to theaters, and I think it's kind of a perfect movie. And so those are my top 2. I probably would go, again, just to give credence, either Last Jedi or Empire as my 3rd in there. And then non-movie wise, I really think my favorite like Star Wars thing since maybe even the Disney purchase has been Star Wars Visions, both season 1 and 2. Just like, again, in terms of like distilling what Star Wars means to different cultures and different people, I think that was like a really fantastic, beautiful thing, and I want way more of that. So yeah, those are kind of my favorite Star Wars things at the moment.
Now, you said I think you said you saw the Phantom Menace in theaters. I saw it for the first time because I was born in 1999. So I think it came out that time. So I really I won't even remember what happens. I don't even know what's going on. But I watched it in theaters, and it was really amazing.
Yeah.
To see it all in theaters. I hope they do that with the other movies like Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
I know the 25 years of Revenge of the Sith?
Next year, yeah.
Next year. I hope they put that in theaters too, because I would love. That's my favorite Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
I want to see that movie in theaters again because I think it would be so badass. And then I would be like, Anakin, it's over. I have the high ground, and then someone's down on the low ground, and they try to run up the stairs. Yeah, I just want to do that.
We gotta make it happen.
You gotta make it happen, Brandon. Even if I gotta come to Texas to do it with you.
You let me know. You let me
know. But my next question is your favorite Star Wars characters. Why? What do they mean to you, Brandon? Do you like you connect to these characters? What these characters mean something to you? Like Ahsoka means everything to me. Anakin. And who's my third favorite?
Who's your third favorite? Who is it?
I think I go back and forth. I really do. It like flip flops. So I love Ahsoka and like Clone Wars Ahsoka, Rebels Ahsoka. Like Ashley's my Ahsoka. I will always say that. Rosario does a great job. Don't get me wrong, she does a great job. But Ashley's my Ahsoka. So I would go animation Ahsoka, animation Anakin. Matt Lanning was my Anakin. And then I would go back and forth with Ezra because I would go, okay, I like Azaj because I love her story. But then I would go Beerus Offee because I love her. You know, so it's just a big, to me, like, I just love the female characters of Star Wars because they bring so much to the table. Like, they're so badass, these female characters. And the voices that go with them, like Vanessa Marshall, Tia from Rebels, Jennifer Hall, Isla Secura, trying to think of Catherine Tabor, Padme, Anna Graves, you know, Julie Dolan. You know, I had Julie, the Princess Leia, voice of Princess Leia on the show, and she was amazing to talk to.
Yeah.
I geeked out a little because I love animation, and that's like the first ever voice actress I had on my show. And I was just like this. Like, I was like, talk more to me. And then she was like, Chris, I gotta go. I was like, all right, I understand. I won't geek out. But yeah, it definitely flip-flops for the third one. It definitely does.
It's great.
But yeah, so you.
That's so mean. Let me think. I mean, my number one always is Han Solo, but it's probably just because it's Harrison Ford, and that was kind of growing up. Like, Harrison Ford was the guy for me, and so Han Solo as a character and kind of Han Solo's growth throughout the trilogy is, I think, really, really profound. And then I guess a number two, and it's pretty basic, but Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think we've seen so much of his journey and so much of, you know, again, starting with Phantom Menace, and even before then, I used to read like the Jedi Quest, Jedi Apprentice books that had, you know, Obi-Wan growing up and being an apprentice, and I really think there's still even more to mine with his character. And I think it's so interesting to see him go from, you know, real young, real excited guy to who he is in the final showdown with Vader and beyond, and having both Alec Guinness and Ewan as the two live action actors is really, really something to bring to the table. So I'd have to go Han Solo and Obi-Wan.
Who's your third?
Who's my third? That's a good question. I do. George Lucas says that his favorite character is R2-D2, and I am inclined to agree because when R2 is on screen, it's hard for me to look anywhere else except R2-D2 and be like, oh, is Kenny Baker inside R2-D2 right now? Is it the remote control R2-D2 right now? Like, what's going on with this R2-D2 at this exact moment? And really, that might be my greatest quote unquote problem with The Force Awakens, is not enough R2-D2 until the very end. So yeah, I'll have to go R2. I think, again, he's in everything. He's everywhere. There's a fan theory. If we're going back to fan theories, there's a theory that, like, the story of Star Wars is being told through R2. Like, he is telling this story to somebody, aliens from a faraway galaxy, hundreds of years after everything happens. And I always kind of like that idea of that being the surviving, you know, memory of what Star Wars is. And so yeah. So I guess that's Luke,
I could see that.
Luke, Obi-Wan, R2 as the top.
I could see R2-D2 like controlling the whole galaxy of Star Wars. I could see that. I can hop on board with that theory. I can, because R2 is like a little badass. Like, he just roams around and stuff like that. He's not Chopper is like the complete criminal of Star Wars.
For sure.
Has more deaths. He killed more people than like an average human does on a daily basis.
Yeah, a little war criminal.
A little war criminal. So my next question, Brandon, is your top. I don't know if you wanted to. I could do top three with that one, but I'm gonna do top three. Let's see what you got.
Let's see what I have.
Favorite lightsaber battles?
Oh, that's a great question. Let me think. I think my favorite moment in all of Star Wars is at the end of Episode 6 when Luke says, "I'm a Jedi like my father before me." So I'd have to say the Episode 6 duel is probably my number one. Number two is probably, that's tough. I'd probably say Duel of the Fates, which is kind of basic, but it is great, and that music is great. And then number three, I'd have to go sequel trilogy, and either between that first battle at the end of The Force Awakens, where Kylo is really just like slashing his saber around in the snow and punching his stomach to like feed the hatred within him, and I think that's really, really powerful. But then also the fight in Snoke's chambers, the red background and the fire going is really remarkable, and it's cool seeing them fight next to each other and team up. So those are probably my top three at the moment. Although the most recent Acolyte, what was that, Episode 5, is pretty close up there. I'd have to watch it a few more times, but that's pretty rad too.
Yeah, the Stranger really like this guy. Like, it was crazy.
It was really something. Yeah,
I was shocked to see all that go down. I was a little scared. He might come for me next. You know, I don't want that. No. But yeah, did you like the sequel trilogy? Because I know a lot of people did.
Yeah, I really liked it. Especially, I think Force Awakens is a miracle movie. I think Last Jedi is so incredible. I'm a big fan of Rian Johnson. It's so unique when you watch all. I recently just did a Star Wars marathon that they did on Star Wars Day, so I watched all 9 for 24 hours, and it really is interesting actually watching them all back to back to back, and then getting to Last Jedi and how unique it is and how weird it feels. It feels so different, and I think it pushes Star Wars in a really good direction that I think we're seeing now with Acolyte. I think more of that is important to kind of keep Star Wars feeling fresh and feeling unique. And then Rise of Skywalker, I had initial problems with, especially story-wise, but it really has kind of grown on me, especially the visuals of it all. I think it's so beautiful. And then there are some really, really great characters and really great story beats. And then my recent work with the Star Wars Encyclopedia, I did a lot of work on the Rise of Skywalker part. And so I've really kind of come to love a lot of the characters and a lot of the moments. And then I think a lot of the storytelling that's happening, especially in like Mandalorian, for instance, and Bad Batch, kind of recontextualizing a lot of what's happening in the Rise of Skywalker specifically, makes it all very interesting, and I think a lot more cohesive than when it first came out. So overall, I really do love the sequel trilogy, and I love all those characters, and I'm excited to see whatever happens in the Rey movie, the new Rey movie. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, because like I said, I feel like the sequels are not going away. You can hate them, you can love them, you can burn them, you can burn your TV discs, you can burn your TV down. They're not going away. And I love how like the Bad Batch is adding on to the sequel trilogy and to the Mandalorian era, like that era right there. And it's like, wow, this is how you connect each dot. Because Star Wars is backwards, very backwards. They will throw me in there as a Jedi, and they'll go, who in the name's God is this guy? And then they'll tell me a story. They'll give me a story like an animation or live action. That's Chris. Okay, all right. We know. Oh, but he's in the Mandalorian. Okay, right. We get it. Like that's how Star Wars works. I don't know why Star Wars just works backwards. Like they give us something. Like I really never. Like I'm into the books, but I never really known like what the Stranger's helmet was, because I was like, why are they not like they're hitting the helmet? But I'm like, why is it not going through?
Right.
And I'm like, there has to and I haven't read every book. I'm being honest. I have not read a lot of Legends books. I'm reading like the ones I like the Thrawn books. I'm reading right now. The new book that just came out, The Rise and the Fall of the Galactic Empire. That's over there.
Oh, very cool.
And then I'm gonna read the Rule of Two, the Sith books. And I want to read like Darth Sidious' story. I'm trying to I just have no time in my day. Like I have to sit down for a whole 10 years and just relax and just read Star Wars book with a Jack Daniels bottle and just go to work on it, you know? But yeah, it's terrible. So I didn't know what it was. So when they kept hitting it and I found out online, I was like, oh, that's why. I was like, is his made? Is his hat made? Is this mask made of metal or something? Yeah. I'm like, what is that? It looks so cool. It really is so cool. But I'm like, what is that? and then they said it what it was. It starts with a C, right?
Cortosis, yeah.
Cortosis.
Yeah.
But it was so awesome to see that. And I'm like, why are these Jedi not landing no blows on them? And then someone said it. I think it was an interview, or I think maybe he said it to Osha. Like, it's the way that you move through the Force. That's how you killed all those Jedi. Like, that's how he was so connected and in tune with the Force that he didn't need to see. You know, he really couldn't see out of that mask, and he just used his Force movements. And the Jedi were so out of balance because they were like so scared because they don't know what this is, what this creature is, and what they are. So it was fun to see that. It was like a callback to like the prequels with Anakin and Obi-Wan, and the high ground one where Anakin was so angry and out of balance that Obi-Wan was just in tune with the Force, and that's how he defeated Anakin.
Right.
And even with Sidious, I think they made a connection with Sidious or something like that. I don't know if it was a meme, probably was a meme, but I saw that connection too. But yeah, the Acolyte, I really like the Acolyte. I have no complaints. There was some things I don't like, of course, but I don't, it's Star Wars. I'm going to read it anyway in the High Republic books anyway. There's a lot of High Republic stuff.
There's a lot.
Yeah. I need to just hang out in Texas for a while, Brandon.
Right, and then it'll all be fine. I recommend if you're out of time, I've been really enjoying the audiobooks. They do a very good job, and that's a very helpful way for me, at least, to kind of just like burn through as many Star Wars books as possible.
Yes, but you know what's my problem? I have to have the book, and then I have the audiobooks, but I have Audible, so I put it on and I listen to it, and I have to read it because if I'm in the car or if I'm just having my headphones in, I won't really know what's really going on, if that makes sense.
Right.
I'll be so out of tune. I'll be like, what? Wait, what just happened? Go back, or like they'll just tell the story in such a different way. It will go from like them reading it to like, oh, boom, boom, a crash. I'm like, what just happened? Mark Thompson does a great job. I love that man. That man in Star Wars books. Keep letting him read my books. I love that man. Does a great job. But so my next question, Brandon, to you is, so I ask everybody on my show, what is their dream Star Wars project that you want, that you would make or you want to see? So if George Lucas called you on the phone and said, hey, Brandon, Talking Bay 94, what's going on? I want you to make a Star Wars show. It could be animation, live action. It could be any story never told in Star Wars. It could be something completely, it could be about droids. It could be about anything you want. What would that dream Star Wars project be for you?
It would be funny if George Lucas called and said this, because I don't think he'd want it made. But I don't know if you ever saw, there's a movie called Saving Mr. Banks, which is a pretty good movie, but it's about like the making of Mary Poppins.
I've heard.
I would love to make a similar movie, but about the making of the original Star Wars. So 1977, kind of a period piece, sort of about like George Lucas at that time, fictionalized, and I think that'd be a really interesting movie. I think there's a lot of really interesting things that happened during the making of the original Star Wars, a lot of interesting drama, a lot of interesting ideas and people and characters, and so that would be my pitch, would be, let's make this movie kind of a non-fiction, fictionalized making of Star Wars.
And who would be your top actor or actress?
For who would play young George Lucas? There's a guy who he played Q. He played Q in the new James Bond movies. What's his name? Ben Whishaw. But he has the right build, at least, to be George Lucas, and he was soft spoken enough that I could see, because George Lucas is a very quiet person, so it'd have to be someone with that, actually, like, not like charisma is the wrong word, but it has to be kind of a quiet person. So that's probably my number one. But I wonder if he's a little too old now, because again, George Lucas was like 30 years old. Like, you have to be kind of young to be him. So yeah.
Now, doing Talking Bay that you did 150 episodes or 160, whatever you said. Is there one interview that you just got a guy on, a Star Wars actor or behind the scenes, that you freaked out a little with? Like, who is that person for you in your that you interviewed?
I freaked out a couple times. I think one of the first was with Phil Tippett, who did all the stop motion and go motion for the original Star Wars, and kind of a hero of mine. And I did freaked out a little bit while we were talking, just because it was kind of intense. He's a very intense guy, but I've ended up interviewing him like 5 or 6 times for various publications and magazines and stuff after that. So it has all worked out. But yeah, the first time I ever interviewed Phil Tippett, I was very nervous, and also Dennis Murin, his compatriot at ILM, was very scary for me to interview. But all very nice guys and probably the most talented men in the world. So
now, Brandon, what's next for you? What is your next thing that you're doing with Talking Bay? What's your next con that you going to? Did you go to Rebel Scum Con?
Yeah, I went to Rebel Scum Con, so that's probably the next thing for Talking Bay, which is I think of like 7 or 8 interviews I recorded at Rebel Scum Con. Some really great people, including Ahmed Best. So that's coming down the pipeline. I just have to like sit down and edit. But I'm really excited for people to hear those. I had a lot of fun. And then my next show after that, I'm not going to Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con. My work is, and I still might, but I probably won't be going to that. I'll be going to Japan. I'm going to Celebration Japan next year, which is exciting. So that's it for now. If any conventions come to Austin, Texas, I will be there. But yeah, that's
gotta come over here to the East Coast. Brandon, what you waiting for?
Hey, if there's a good show, I'm always down to fly out and see what's going on.
Did you go to New York, or have you gone to New York?
No, I've never been to New York Comic Con. Again, with work, I might go, because we'll have a presence there, and so we'll see. But I'd love to go to New York Comic Con. I'd love to go to C2E2. I've been to San Diego quite a few times, but I'm always down to go somewhere and buy a bunch of dumb stuff. So
that is so true. Like the stuff that we don't need, we just start buying. You gotta come to Rhode Island. Rhode Island is a good Comic Con.
I've heard what's it, RICC, right? Yeah. I've heard that's a great show and some really great guests. A lot of rare names. Yeah.
Fairly Odd Parents are going this year. I'm so excited for that.
Nice.
Danny Phantom, some Star Wars guys are going, and I can't wait to meet. But Brandon, thank you.
Hey.
So much for coming on the show. The Scevoli Tano Tonight Show. You're welcome to come back anytime on my show. You don't even have to schedule an appointment. Just
show up. Just enter
up.
The StreamYard and see what happens. Yeah, you let me know, man. I'll be there. You keep me posted.
I gotcha. Now, before we go, where can everybody find you on the social medias?
Yeah, for sure. At Talking Bay 94 everywhere is the best place to find me. Twitter and Instagram, especially Facebook. And then at Actually Brandon is my personal handle everywhere, and you can find me there too.
Follow him on both.
From non-Star Wars things, but also Star Wars things. So yeah.
I'm a big fan. I followed you on both.
Hey, thank you. That's all that matters. Bump those numbers up. Yeah.
You just gotta follow me back on your personal one, Brandon.
Ooh.
Follow me on that one.
Okay, that's a good call.
I take that personally. I take the personal.
Oh, sure.
But Brandon, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you and your time and Talking Bay. I've been a fan of yours for a while. I just didn't know how. Sometimes when you go message someone, is it going through to that where they see it? So with you, I know you have a big following and stuff like that. So
I see everything. I'm addicted to social media. I see everything, and that's why we're here. So
definitely, that's why we're here. So I was like, I hope he comes on. I'm a big fan of his and stuff like that. I've been watching Talking Bay, hearing his interviews. So I'm like, and then when he hit me back, I was like, yes. So I was like, thank you so much.
Of course, my pleasure.
But thank you guys for joining us on the Scevoli Tano Tonight Show. I'll put all the links in the bio to follow Brandon and his work. Before we go, where can everybody listen to your podcast?
Yeah, you can listen to Talking Bay 94 pretty much anywhere you're listening to podcasts right now. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever. I'm there. You can't escape me.
You can. I can find you. But thank you guys. Make sure you guys subscribe down below to the YouTube channel, The Scevoli Tano Show. Be kind to one another, and may the Force be with you, my friends. Always. Bye!
In my life, when you find people who need your help, you help them, no matter what.